So I was about 12. I had 3 younger brothers ranging from the ages of 4 to 10 years old. And our family was living in one of the many tenements that we had moved into and out of in those days. One step ahead of the landlord always demanding rent. My parents had one room, and there was one room for the kids with a twin bed for 3 kids and a pull-out couch for the 4th. There was no such thing as a living or dining room. Those were unheard of in our circles. I remember one winter when my father was sent out by my mother. She made the decisions in the family to buy a sort of closet that she had seen displayed in one of the storefronts about a dozen blocks away. My father was about 5'5" with dark hair, strong, powerful hands. He was quite a gentleman. My mother was slightly shorter than him, with a full body, dark hair, and a beautiful oval face. Alright, so my father went out at dusk to get the closet. That is, he went to get a closet that was made out of cardboard. So he goes out to get the closet and brings back the closet, or a whole bunch of cardboards that, if assembled in a certain way, would constitute a closet. Okay. There was a set of instructions, and those were completely unintelligible to both my mother and my father. It just didn't make any sense. But anyways, my father set out to start to assemble this closet, and every attempt that he made just failed horribly, and his frustration was just angry. It was just rising and rising, and my mother told him to just keep trying, and so he did, and he'd always fail. Anyways, this must have gone on for about an hour or so, and my brothers and I were standing in our bedroom doors, in our underwear, watching, and my dad's frustration was growing by the minute. And so he had reached the limits of his ability and his patience, and my mother asked him to try just one more time. So he did, and surprisingly it failed again. So when she told him to just take that stupid closet back to the store where he got it, he picked up one of the cardboard pieces and brought it down on her head. Now, it was only cardboard and it couldn't have hurt her, but it was an awful thing to behold. And my brothers and I started screaming and crying and yelling at him to stop. And my mother was crying too, so he finally chastened, and he picked up all the cardboards and just left the house. See, I was reminded of this story about 10 years later when I was reading Ann Petrie's poem, Like a Winding Sheet. And in it, a black man who loves his wife, although they both work really hard for very little, goes through a day of embarrassment at the hands of his white supervisor, and then later at a restaurant at the hands of a blonde white nurse. So when he comes home and his wife tries to coax him to dinner by saying, "You're nothing but a hungry old nigger," he starts striking her repeatedly with his fist. Now, what does it all mean? We cannot abide the violence that one miserable person lets loose on another. We must yell and scream until it stops, like my brothers and I did. And we must not allow we must look at the underlying causes of violence, of any form of violence, not just man against woman, any form of violence of one angry, miserable person against another.